video, we're going to go over the various pipeline statuses and which ones are going to automatically change for you based on actions taken and which ones need to be manually adjusted. So right from this main screen, you do have that ability to click the drop down if you need to change that pipeline right away. Now, however, when you go into a lead, the pipeline is going to change automatically based on various actions that you take as mentioned. So if you're on the automated system, often enough you guys may be recognizing this, the text message goes out to your lead. If the lead comes in and they're still sitting on new lead, the minute that text message goes out and gets delivered, the pipeline is going to automatically switch to you for you to try to contact, because now you've tried to contact that lead. Now, if your lead responds to your text message, this pipeline is going to automatically switch to made contact, because now you have made contact with that lead. So those are going to be automatic for you when it comes to the SMS system. Now, in other occurrences, it's with your calls as to how the pipeline is going to change. So I always personally refer and recommend the Twilio because it's going to automatically log all your calls for you, which is hands down very important when working in database. But a couple different actions will happen. So when you are logging, so Twilio, when you dial a lead, you have your little pop-up that pops up here. You do have your different call results for after the call was made. So you also, for people who are opting out of using Twilio, you do have the notes and call section. So you're going to log your calls as calls, not as notes. So emphasizing, make sure you log your calls as calls, as the system doesn't recognize any calls that you make leaving them as notes. So you would still log your call result here. So when you log a call result that there was no message left or the lead wasn't there, or you opted to leave a voicemail and you haven't previously spoken to that lead, we do not recommend doing that. But if you chose to do that, what would happen is, and I'll just save that, the pipeline's going to automatically switch to try to contact. If it's not already on try to contact. If it's already on try to contact because you sent a text message and they didn't respond, it will just update with today's date, essentially. If it was still on new lead, it will move to try to contact. Now, if you log a call that you talk to the lead, or if the lead called you and you log that call, or if they just directly called your Twilio number, the pipeline is going to automatically switch to made contact. Now, do note as I'm logging here, you're going to see the calls here, they're updating, right? So this is where we're filtering our leads based on calls. So that's, again, why I stress the importance of logging your calls. Now, you do have your other call results as well. So if you, they said don't ever call me again, that kind of thing, you can definitely put opt out. If you go opt out and save it, you're going to see that the phone number now has this opted out. It's a slash through that there. Definitely, if you do that, I would always hands down leaving notes as to why, because if you're looking at this down the road, you're not going to remember necessarily who this person was and why they opted out. Now, you do also, when you have a wrong number, so if you log your call as wrong number, the phone number is going to be automatically marked as invalid, okay? So back down to your pipeline here. So we've gone through the new lead is a new lead that registered. If you're on a branded website, the new leads will be not set is essentially what it comes to. You then have your tried to contact, which essentially is you've tried to contact that lead. You've yet to communicate with them. You do have your made contact. Now your set meeting here. So if you've set a meeting with a person, definitely switch their pipeline over because you're going to want to differentiate people that you've spoke to versus people that you've actually met in person. How you communicate with those people are different levels and different, essentially. Now, when you create the set meeting, it does give you a pop-up if you want to create a task. So that's an added bonus for you guys if you do want to create a task in the system for that. You can also have your tasks connected to your Google Calendar so that if you did create this meeting, it would actually pop in your Google Calendar at that specific day and time. For this, I'm just going to select no. Now, signed agreements, of course, this is, if you've signed an agreement with somebody, it is keeping track of this. So even if you sign an agreement and you're showing them properties the same day, I would still, go through the pipeline, switching it to signed agreement, because you can filter your leads based on their pipeline status change. So if you want to see how many people you signed agreements for in the last 6 months, for example, you can do that. So that is that one. And then, of course, showing properties. If you're showing them homes, again, trying to transition through these it allows you to sort your database based on where they're at in your pipeline. You then have the sold. So when you sold a lead, marking them as sold, it's going to gather the information based on the closing date. If you represented the buyer and seller, it's going to pull up the MLS, or you put in the MLS, the selling price, your buyer commission, that sort of thing. Now, AgentLocator is compiling this information to create a reporting tool for you guys. So you're going to be able to pull up all these stats. So if you're adding in sold data, it is going to be beneficial for you to be able to review that detail. Now, for any lead that you want to mark as garbage. So a garbage lead is essentially a lead where either both of these are invalid, or there's no means of connecting with that lead. You have both of these, like you can't contact them. They've either opted out of everything or everything's invalid. So that would be a garbage lead. You want them in your garbage pile. Another, if you want to mark somebody as garbage, would be somebody that you definitely do not want to work with. They were nasty on the phone, or just, they're just a garbage. They're out to lunch or something like that. So you can definitely put them in the garbage. Do tag them as well if you're going to be doing that, and leaving notes for yourself as to why they're a garbage lead, especially if their contact information is valid. So that is your pipeline status, is what's going to change for you automatically versus what you need to do automatically. Now, if you need further assistance with respect to these pipelines, as always, contact support at agentlocator.ca.